Thank you. Good morning. So I learned so much this conference about my own behavior. So I'm going to put on this hat. And it says Belgrade. I've been carrying this hat now for 3 years since my last visit here to Belgrade when they gave me this hat. And it's a really nice hat. So I've been promoting the city. And I thank conference organizers for this wonderful conference, the occasion to be in Belgrade again, for the wonderful night, and the inspiring crowd. Everybody is around here. So I'll do my best.
Hidde, I definitely see by the look of that cap that we will have to buy you a new one now.
Stuart wants one too.
It's just survived 3 weeks holiday on the beach, that's why it's a salty. So why I wear this hat normally, it's important to be serious. But I understand as a speaker that when you're too serious, people start checking their Facebook pages, so you have to be funny as well. In certain cultures, being serious and being funny at the same doesn't work. So I was in Russia, he said you have to look serious 100% of the time because you look silly, you put out your tongue and you're dead, you know, you're not taking serious anymore. Luckily, we've had the training now, and I know now sticking your tongue out is actually part of a therapy. So I'm really happy that for the first time in life, what I do with children, like I pull my ears, and I said my tongue is stuck to my ears, and the children love it. So what we do in Aflatoun, we go travel and see the schools in Albania and Serbia and Nepal, all over the world, and it's almost impossible for me to enter a classroom and, you know, disguise myself, not being the tall guy. It takes a long time before the children are at ease. They are at ease with their teacher, but they're not at ease with me. But I still like to see how they behave different in the classroom. So then, throwing a ball, pulling your tongue out, I never knew that it's part of a scientific thing, but now I'm greatly gratified that all the tricks I had in my book are actually part of serious thinking. So thank you for that. What I do today, and one more anecdote before I really turn serious, I always dreamed of speaking on a Sunday morning at 10:30, you know. People telling me that I was a preacher in the desert for so many times. Now I'm a preacher in Belgrade, so I really feel very happy today. What do we do at Aflatoun? So basically, we have a social financial education method where a lot of the stuff which were explained today, we do from the basis of practitioners. So Aflatoun is a bottom-up method, so it was designed by teachers and social workers. So I'm really happy to note that quite a number of the lessons, again, are based on scientific research. So the things which good teachers have come up and lessons are actually, you know, like Dr. Shankar said, you are great guys, you do a lot of good stuff. It's learning by doing. And this movement of Aflatoun in 105 countries with 150 affiliated organizations, and I don't know how many teachers, thousands of teachers, feed into the lessons we have today. So one more thing about the great work. So Pomoc, Deci, as well as other organizations, partnering by Veer in Albania, we're piloting the program already for a long time. We also have Aflatoun in Kosovo, Macedonia, other countries. So this program I'm going to talk about is your program. It's something which we didn't design in a silo. We listen to you and we work for a very long time, and we come up with something which works quite well, and it's really simple and it's fun, and it's supposed to be also doing silly things. My talk is going to be 5 points, so I will take you through it. I will keep you from coffee a little longer than in the program. What can I do? I'm the second speaker, and I will do my best to be as concise as possible. As we heard yesterday, a lot of thinking has also been codified in the Convention of the Rights of the Child. So the article I like is the right to develop oneself to the full potential. A lot of things we do in education is designed by people who say that knowledge transfer is the big thing. But what do you do in a modern life where you have constant exposure to video games, what have you in sort of excitement? It is important to train, to develop oneself to the full potential. So if you're constantly on dopamine and addicted to food, and you have no chance in life to deal with, as we say, the real things in life, going out and walking out of the room. How do you behave in a real environment where you have to find work, where you have to study, and where you have to interact with other people? So we are greatly supported by the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child. It was explained that it was ratified quite quickly, but it is a very important tool for advocacy. Whenever you talk to a government minister, I said, yeah, but you've underwritten these principles. Maybe you don't know, but you are party of the UN Convention of the Rights of the Child. So it is, for an NGO, it's immediately a great relief to be able to refer to an international charter, which is universal. Only 2 countries haven't ratified, right? Somalia and the United States of America. But it's a universal document with universal rights. Obviously, talking about conflict-affected states where we have problems where the community have been disrupted by external events or by internal events, we underline that children need to be secure and they have to be part of a community. How do we do that is basically, and I talk about it later, in the chapter of rights and responsibilities. But it also stems from the very important first core element, is like self-respect. We have to know who we are in order to be able to reflect upon the others. If you have low self-esteem, you have no idea who you are, it is almost impossible to be respectful of the other. So a lot of the importance for interacting with each other is, and with people from different community, is making sure you don't feel inferior, you have self-respect, you feel important. So in that sense, we have a lot of relevance in countries which are conflict affected. So we have good programs for example, now working with children in Syrian refugee camps where our partners do important work, and especially still in this very, despairing environment with all the tents and the lack of resources and the lack of playgrounds and what have you, still to develop an identity and self-respect. And it is possible by just doing very playful and relatively very simple games. Okay, early childhood. We have now developed a program also for toddlers called Aflatoun, also piloted here in Serbia. And basically, it is more about developing competencies like external orientation, curiosity, the senses, and I will talk about it a little more in my presentation. So what is Aflatoun? Aflatoun means Plato in Arabic. It originally comes from India, where it was piloted in the early 90s. And basically, it's about empowerment, and it was mentioned teachers are our champions, teachers are our agents of change mostly, but what is our ultimate gain is that at the end of the education, we have children who are able to be agents of change for themselves based on the capability to design products and to realize products by a simple method of saving money. And we also want to be idealistic. We are a global movement, so we believe that inequality and the unequal division of resources among communities is also a source of conflict. So I was trained as a diplomat, so I see all the macro factors which are affecting the lives of day-to-day children, and we also want to be advocating sometimes for the macro things which are just plain wrong, and we also have to do that. Sometimes our teenagers, they have campaigns and they are agents of change in their community, and they are complaining about the conflicts in their area, and they just basically ask, give us a time slot, like in Syria, give us a time slot. We leave school at 4. Please don't shoot between 4 and 6. We like to play football. You can start again at 6. And basically all the, both sides said, oh yeah, that's a good idea because we need to drink tea and refresh ourselves before we're going to kill each other again. So the teenagers managed to have like a slot for themselves, and both sides agreed to it, because it's the power of children. Who can say no to children? And the warriors are then confronted with the madness they are doing every time they're shooting each other, and they become human again. Probably it's something to do with self-regulation of soldiers. They still play chess, they still go and do games to get the warrior out of themselves. So let's say I learned a lot this time. So the madness of war, how to do it. Okay. What is Aflatoun? Aflatoun is a franchise movement. So we develop the methods, we develop a network of master trainers, but basically, like I said, Pomoc Deci is a partner organization who piloted a program a long time ago, and they implemented, they have to look for the resources to do the pilot programs. Obviously, since we are ambitious and we think we have a mission which is relevant to all children, we immediately talk to the authorities. So we talk to people here, representatives of ministries. Extremely important, because we ask for permission to do the pilot. We immediately have a conversation with the authorities. If the pilot is successful, you would like it, could we have these principles enshrined in a national curriculum? So we have good progress, for example, in a country like Macedonia, where the principles already been accepted, and we're working on life skills type of lessons to be included in the national curriculum. So all children in Macedonia will be able to benefit from it. So we have 3 curricula. We designed one for toddlers. The main success we had in primary school, so that's where it all started. And we also have something for teenagers called Aflatoun. Why are we successful? Not so much because of the innovative way we talk about money and saving. It's more about the teachers who thought, hey, I would like to learn something new. I've heard about child-centered lessons. I would like to have stress release. It's enormously energy intensive to be in control of 30 or 40 pupils all the time. What if we have child-centered lessons? The children animate themselves. They are in control of the classroom. You can relax. So teachers were very much taking up Aflatoun because they saw, hey, this is a way to learn something new. I see them smile. They are happy. They struggle with the headphones, but then again, it's a mess at the first time, but after a while, it's going to work well. And you can just sit back, you observe, and you have also time to look at your children completely different way than before, where we have the rote learning, where we have the confrontational teaching, where you constantly have to manage children who are not listening or are distracted. And when they all engaged in a messy game, you make sure that the silent children, the wallflowers, if you like, are also engaged. So that's why the teachers, they are champions. They took it up because it's child-centered participatory learning. Not so much, oh, we would love to talk about money and financial literacy because that's boring to most, or taboo, if you like, to most of the people. Behavior change is our goal. Like we say, in all our research, most of the significant changes we see in behavior change. It's a bit depressing that the knowledge transfer is quite limited, but behavior change, and we pride ourselves on that, we have something where we see significant positive changes, for example, in risk-taking behavior. Aflatoun children are better to assess risks, are better able to take risks. Indeed, they take more risks, but in a positive way. There's, like the investment banker would say, no return without risk. So people are better able to do new things and keep themselves under control and see whether it works or not, success or failure. Our motto is explore, investigate, and act. And that's actually also what we're seeing in research. But the calculation of compound interest and budgeting is still pretty depressing. We're all bad at doing math, it seems. So what is the method? We have 5 core elements, and we're quite flexible in the way it is done. So it's done differently in Serbia than in Macedonia and Albania, let alone in Bolivia, Nepal, or Botswana. So it's all contextualized. We have to adapt it to local circumstances. Like when I went to Saudi Arabia, I spoke to the women's organizations. It said, if we implement the way you want us to do it, we'll be in jail tomorrow, because it was a bit too much out of the box to talk about all the rights for women in Saudi Arabia. So we have to work within the limits, the legal limits or the cultural limits of a country, and it has to be adapted. Especially when you talk about money, money is very different thing in different cultures. Why does it work? I've been trained as a financial sector expert. The longer I work at Aflatoun, the more I'm convinced it's the social stupid. Forget about the budget and the calculation. That will come automatically. It's about the core element, number 1, knowing who you are, understanding that every child is unique and you have a unique selling point and you can be proud, like the wood carving. You have to tell the child, you will excel in something. You don't know yet, but we are going to explore. We're going to find out that you are the best artist, dancer, mathematician, what have you. But you're going to be the best compared to others. And that's also what the economy is teaching, is you have comparative advantage. So every child will have a comparative advantage. The next thing you do is you work in a team and you combine this expertise together. And you're going to find some money, so you're going to start some saving as a group, and you're going to start a venture. So that's what the 5 core elements are going to do. You start, hey, I would like to be the boss. Everybody, there's always in the group, I like to be the leader. Fine, you'll be the leader. But the other one said, I'm the best in finance, so let me be the treasurer, let me handle the money, let me do the ledger book. The third one said, I want to be the creative director because I'm the best in designing the product we're going to sell or we're going to make, or the baker, we're going to design the best sandwich we're going to sell at the fancy fair. And the fourth one said, I'm the best manufacturer because I'm not clumsy, the director, he might be had a loud voice and speak up and not be shy, but he's very clumsy like I am. So the manufacturer will say, I'm going to make the sandwiches because I'm the best with my hands, and so on. And everybody will understand that you have a different role in a team and you appreciate each other for that. And it's not about just being dominant and bullying. It's about making sure that the team works together. So we see that this method can work, and actually, in the end, also creates a positive image of what you can do with small amounts of savings, and that you actually can make money with money. So instead of just spending it on Coca-Cola or chocolate bars, because that's what we see when children start saving, they drink more water and spend it less on Coca-Cola, because Coca-Cola costs money. And wherever you go, whether you go to Bangladesh, or that there is a snack bar outside the schoolyard, the kiosk, what do? Coca-Cola is a great company, buy their shares, but they are everywhere around the world. The first thing you see is Coca-Cola. The second thing you see is Ukraine. I was supposed to Ukraine in the early 90s. The first thing which came to Ukraine was Coca-Cola. The second thing was chocolate. So Mr. Poroshenko, who's the president of Ukraine, made his money with chocolate. So he was a wise guy. He was there where the money would be in Ukraine. So that's outside the schoolyard. Aflatoun just said, why spend money on stuff you don't need? Because you can do without chocolate, you can do without Coca-Cola. earn something for a school venture, we save it together, we make these sandwiches, we sell it at a fancy fair, and we make money. You know, they have a budget of, let's say, 20 euros. It takes them a couple of months, maybe 2 weeks or maybe 2 months to get the 20 euros. They make the sandwiches, they sell it at a profit, and they have 40 bucks. It's an empowering thought that they did it together and actually have a positive association with money. Most of you, probably all of you, have a negative association with money. Those of you who have too little, which is probably the majority, they think, oh, I need to have more money. Those of you who have too much, they worry about losing it. So there's almost no one with a neutral positive association with money. There's research done that you need to have like purchasing power parity. You need to have about $2,000 dollars a month to be the optimum happy. Anything you have more, the incremental happiness you will get from it is not impressive, you know. The additional car, is it really going to make you happy? You need to pay maintenance. You have 2 cars who break down. You have 2 cars who need insurance. You know, the additional Nintendo for a child, the first Nintendo is the real thing. The second one is not going to increase his or her happiness. Okay, how do we work? I'm going to concentrate on Aflatoun. This is our exciting new product. We talk about early childhood here. We talked about the ecosystem. So we have a good ecosystem for our toddlers. And it's really about learning them what's around themselves. And they will like explore, like we said, more about who they are themselves, developing their senses. And it's really straightforward, you know. In that sense, it's still the teachers, they will tell a story and they will have a discussion. So it's really very simple, basic, straightforward method, but it's also about doing new things. Somebody said, talk about the things around you, like the sun, and you wouldn't go out the classroom. Aflatoun children, the teacher will take the children outside and explore them what it is, heat or cold, and develop their senses, because it's important they have the ability to deal with real things in life. The walk in the neighborhood will develop the capacity to look for opportunities. So we develop an entrepreneurial spirit. It is important for competence that an entrepreneur always sees opportunities and not see the risks or the downsides. An entrepreneur is a hopeless, optimistic person. That's why an entrepreneur himself is bound to fail. That's why the entrepreneur needs a banker, or he needs a partner who is more the risk-averse person. But we look for creativity to turn into ventures. And when you start talking with toddlers, you don't talk about entrepreneurship, you're just talking about the competencies, the curiosity, the external orientation. And you know, it's wonderful to work with toddlers because you can still do so much. And like it was said, after 3 years old, they already have the prejudices. But you can still, it's still low. It's not as nearly as bad as when they're 15 or 16. So you can still have a lot of opportunity to install, if you like, sensible behavior, like explore, investigate, and act. And that's all what we do. We are a global movement. So the beauty of it, you can see the world. So in our international network, we have conference calls thanks to Skype or other programs. And we have toddlers in Peru talking to toddlers, I don't know, in the Netherlands. And it just gives them the idea there are children all over the world who have this positive association with Aflatoun, which is a yellow fireball. So we have a doll, and the children, they adore that doll because it symbolizes the principles, it symbolizes the positive attitude in life. And they understand that we have children all over the world who have the same idol, if you like. And that's really important. And they have the same, they follow the same principles. Like we said, it's a sort of a paradox. We are a universal movement with a lot of principles who are the same, but then again, also celebrate the diversity. that children in Saudi Arabia are very different from children in the Netherlands or in Canada. So celebrate the diversity, respect the diversity, respect the other behavior, the other things they do, but be curious about it and not be condemning them. Oh, they are different, so they must be dangerous, we should be afraid of them. And that's the confidence. An entrepreneur is also confidence. Hey, I can go to China, I will make sure that the Chinese people, they buy my toothbrush and I will be an instant billionaire. You know, that's what the entrepreneur, so it's curious about what is out there in the world. With whom do we work? We've had the luck, so to say, that when we launched the campaign, the financial crisis broke out. So NGOs have a niche because there's a problem to solve nobody else is solving. The financial sector and the government, they realized they almost ruined the world as we know it. So all the JP Morgans and the Citibanks and the Rabobank and the Raiffeisen Bank, they realized, ooh, maybe we did something really bad and we need to repair it. And they are now sometimes generous funders, sometimes small funders to our campaigns. Governments instantly put behavioral change on the agenda. All the economists realized that it's not about just the math and the algorithm and the hedge funds that they will be successful. They still realize somewhere, somehow, there is a customer. So suddenly the know your customer principle and behavior of the herds, and how can you package a whole community of people who buy subprime mortgages, pack it and make it a AAA. It was like in the Middle Ages turning something into gold, and it wasn't gold. So when that whole bubble burst, people get back to basics. Who are our customers? What do we really do? And governments and banks realize that there's something important with installing behavior and knowledge of money and risk-taking behavior. So we were flourishing and getting attention of both funders and governments. Financial crisis is still there. Normally, historically, financial crisis lasts 10 years, so that's since the Middle Ages. So we still have until 2018 to make sure the financial system is repaired. You already see that bankers turn to old-style behavior, and already see in the stock markets that everybody believes, look at the Alibaba thing, you know, it's a big bubble going to burst. I'm a cynic, you know, but in one day, Alibaba is the biggest company in the world. And what do? It's just social media. It's basically hot air. I'm sorry, I believe in shipyards. Well, my father worked in the shipyard in Amsterdam. It went bankrupt, so I relate to Northern Ireland. In the shipyard in Amsterdam, we had a community of Protestants, Catholics, a lot of communists. So that's the difference with Northern Ireland. Everybody felt miserable. Okay, big questions for us is, Ministry of Education, they are key because they establish most of the time the national curriculum. So we devote a lot of attention to have the conversation with the Ministry of Education, and we are greatly supported by multilateral institutions. UNICEF, for example, in Macedonia, we work closely with UNICEF, who help us in a dialogue with the ministry. The same goes true for Turkey now. They have access to the Ministry of Education. Our method has been validated by UNICEF, so we have an annex, or if you like, a new compendium to the Child-Friendly Schools Manual on social financial education, and we are co-writing that with UNICEF, and that's tremendously important to have, if you like, proof of concept. If you can say that you're supported and you have something with the logo of UNICEF and our logo, it helps a lot when you create a dialogue with the Ministry of Education. I talked about Ministry of Education, talked about the multilateral organizations. Yeah, parents and communities, very important. A lot is done by the teacher, as I explained. A lot of the energy and the new thinking is done in the classroom, but still the kid comes home And suddenly the kid has a calculator and tells his father, hey, Dad, if you stop smoking, we can go on holiday next year. The dad is not happy usually when he says, but suddenly you have a conversation about money at home. We don't have a structural, but maybe, I remember a very long conversation with Ermira in Albania when I was on a trip about the importance of parents. And I didn't, this was 3 years ago, didn't understand. I still have questions to you because you are oftentimes in programs where you do relate with the parents more intensively. We're still exploring the best way we can interact with parents. You do that as a group, but you also do that with individual parents. When we go on school visits, we also visit the parents and look and ask the parents, how did the behavior change? Parents see their children completely different behavior. Like they demand for money, just like they demand for money for the Coca-Cola and the chocolate, but now they put it in their piggy bank, so they put it in the savings box. Very interesting, very puzzling for the parents, because parents most of the time don't save. So what do we do? And then they ask questions to the teachers. Why are you talking about money? Because most of the time for parents, money is a taboo. You know, they are afraid to talk about money because they are vulnerable. They know they are impulsive and they're not the best investors, and they don't save enough for their pension, or they also have their impulses and they buy a car or they buy shoes when it's not really necessary. So suddenly you have this game changer. You talk about money, you talk about longer time horizon of things. So when a child can think about next week or next month, the parents should also think about it. You know, the smoking thing takes a year before you earn. Well, in the Netherlands, a bit quicker. Cigarettes are quite cheap here. In Serbia, it would take a year, maybe 2 years before you earn. I don't know how expensive cigarettes are. Normally, I always ask to take cigarettes from Serbia back home because they're so cheap here. But you define a time horizon, and saving is nothing else than delayed consumption. So you talk about consumption, you talk about bigger goals in life, you talk about aspirations, and the beauty of it, it all is about the risks. So when we ask the children in Bangladesh, what are you saving for individually? They say, we save for medicine if my father or mother is sick. So why is that? Because father or mother is sick, they don't go to work, and they don't have food on the table. So the children automatically see what are the needs and the wants. So in Bangladesh, they save for a need. In Holland or in Qatar, they would save probably for a want. Like, oh, I want to have my Nintendo. In Qatar, it's all about the most expensive watch you have. So I ask about in Qatar, what is the usual pocket money? Well, it's something between $3,000 and $5,000 a month. But that's a sort of a decadent example where money is also a huge problem. We interact with parents because you can maybe cooperate. Again, an example here, a guy in Albania said, I want to save for car repair. Yeah, because his father worked in Germany, and then the answer was, you know, why is that not more often here? Yeah, the car is broken down, so he can't come down. So it is important to start a conversation. Why is that isn't here? What are the resources? So actually, you have to be truthful. It's impossible for that to fly down because it's just way too expensive. And the village we were is like 4 hours drive from the nearest airport. There's no way that can come more often than once a year. But you talk about resources, immediately you talk about the things which are core to the lives of the community and the family. And that can be very different to different families. Suddenly you have a serious conversation. How do we do that better with parents in groups or focus groups? That's what you have to tell us better, and we still have to develop modules for. We're not just so good at that. We do events at schools, so we have the fancy fair selling the produce. So in Mongolia, they were doing handicraft with leather work, so they were selling the stuff there. In Africa, lots of times the children work with recycled materials, develop some stuff with there. So you see different things, and then the parents will come and also be very proud of their children, which is also important because a lot of parents project their own failure on their children. They say, oh, my child probably is also going to fail because I failed in that. Why is that? Please celebrate the success of your children and be very proud that they will do things differently. Somehow, psychologically, and I'm sure a lot of science goes in it, why deep in their heart also sometimes parents find it comforting when their children also fail. You're not supposed to leave the village or make a success because you make me feel bad because I didn't do it. I don't know, but it's probably a lot of psychology. Sponsors and donors, thank you very much. So we have generous support all over the world from a wider range of donors. They are key. NGOs cannot survive without donors. We thank for the generous support of the European Union, for example, in this conference. But for this region in the Balkans, we are going to work big time to have more funding from pre-accession instruments, neighborhood instruments, whatever is available. We are exploring that. The Secretariat is working with you, and we hope to do it more often jointly, to do joint bids for European Union funding. In other parts of the world, it's different donors. Like I said, a lot of financial institutions, because most of the financial institutions, they lost a lot of money in financial crisis. It's not a big market here to go to the banks and ask them to donate money, because they are still struggling to make a profit. Generally. Okay, I talked about the importance of the partner organizations. A lot of work is done in data collection. So when you become a partner, you also suffer because we need a lot of data, amount of and frequency of saved money, number of teachers involved, the number of hours. Why? Again, when we talk to the UNICEF and the governments, they require data. Unlike this typical minister in Canada, but he's an exception. The most of the ministers said, okay, prove to us that it works. And we need stats, we need data to show it. So that's what we're doing a lot of the pilots. Oh yeah, non-formal education centers. So we don't only work in schools. We prefer that every child goes to school, but when it is not possible, we also work in non-formal centers. So out-of-school centers, sometimes with teenagers, it's the after-school hours which are beneficial and available, because they can't go home, or they don't want to go home because there's nothing there, there's no parents, so they go to the community center, and instead of just the dopamine-filled video games, they can do something nice and play ball, you know, and do something together, or even better, start a venture and become very curious how to make more money, which is, unfortunately, making money is also addictive. But for the time being, with money, you make a lot of things available. The moment it become a problem that our Aflatoons and Aflatouns make too much money, has not yet arrived. Okay. 2 minutes about what we do here. Albania is important because it's one of the, if I'm correct, and Anna, my program manager, and Partner per Femiet are also here. One of the first who worked with kindergartens. They had a project to reinstate kindergartens in Albania. And like I said, I had the pleasure of going there. Me sitting on an Aflatoun bench is impossible. I already have problems with primary school. But I will sit there like my sort of Aflatoun yoga, sit there in the corner and observing the toddlers. And they are curious, and they work with resources. They don't necessarily work with money yet or saving money, but saving stuff, precious things, is in the DNA of people. They save precious stones, or they save some things like, I saved pictures of important football players, and you trade, and you understand that some football players are more scarce because they score more goals, and then they have a higher value. It doesn't matter so much whether it's money or not, but to have a feeling, hey, this is precious to me, and that's precious to another. How do we exchange and not kick each other in the head, right? So you have like a formalized marketplace, a regulated environment, and then you have something going. I liked it very much, and I was amazed. that with the informal lessons and learning is kids play, the right to play. Let's play more, and that's the main lesson I would like to give you, and you're already doing it. Give them space to do stuff with each other, and then you structure it a little bit, and then, you know, it's 10 times more effective because it's fun, and then when you have fun, the brain makes these funny chemicals. You like it, you want to do it again, and then it's much more easy to explain the more difficult things. If you do it the technocratic way, explain about money, you will fall asleep, think about sex, what have you. You will not learn about money. Discussion time. I think we have to do it over coffee already. We are, what is it, 11:30? So we are halfway into the afternoon. I think it's time for coffee. Please tell me how can you be engaged as a teacher to do this kind of stuff? Do you have the freedom? Anne and I are available as well as partners who are already implementing it. We would like to do more. So we are not doing a program yet in Croatia. So we talked yesterday about Croatia. Wouldn't it be nice to work in a Montessori school in Croatia? Why not do more stuff in Montenegro? We're doing small bit, but we could do more, and we could do more with different organizations. We will never give exclusivity to one single NGO in one country. We can work with different NGOs in one country, so we have different partners who work with a different group. We work with Roma, we work with SOS Children's Villages, we work in different age sectors, so there's always space to do stuff. And obviously, like I said, we need to have the acknowledgement and consent of governments. If we are successful, we have these life skills, be prepared for the serious things in life, talk about money, and they just be emancipated about it, be easy about it. Wouldn't it be lovely that you can be neutral about your resources and your money? And it's simple. I'll give you as an adult a very good advice from a financial advisor to adults, which is almost impossible. Like, saving is like being on a diet. You need to sustain it for 6 months. And people who can sustain a diet for 6 months, they don't need the diet in the first place. So saving, if you can't save, you're lost, you know. You have to ask your partner to do it for you, or your father, or whoever. But put your wallet, your purse in the boot of your car, then you go shopping. The moment you see that incredible new thing you want, the television, the 100-inch television set, and you're into it, and the salesman managed to sell it to you, you still have to walk back to your car, and you have the time to make the calculation. The economists call it the opportunity cost. If I buy the television, I cannot go on holiday, or I cannot buy the school fee, or I will not put it in my school. And that's it. You are free to buy the television, but please think about it, because most of the people, they cannot buy endless television sets, school, pension funds, and so on. So you have to make a decision. And if you take an elaborate decision, then it's fine to buy it. We are not against spending. We are not, you know, I'm from Holland. We are well known for being stingy, you know. If you look for financial advice, find a Scotsman or a Dutchman, yeah, but a Swiss, yeah. And then what we like to spend, but you make a considered decision, and that's what we teach our children well. If we teach our children well, and we start with Aflatoun, we have a chance that they will be able to do it better than you are going to do it. Thank you for your attention, and look forward to your questions during the coffee break or later this afternoon. And I have my Belgrade pet.
Hvala, Hidde. Ja vas sada pozivam na ručak, a onda popodne ćemo nastaviti imati radionice.